Hey, everybody. Welcome to It's Casual.
It's casual, not formal. It's hosted by Rory Pendlin. Oh, with Jonathan and Renee in tow. It's time to start the show. 1, 2, 3, go! Start the show. 1, 2, 3, go!
And there it is. Wow, what a week. This has been an interesting week. We're coming up on Christmas now. And do we have any videos from any of our regulars this week that go along with Christmas?
Yes, we do. Hold on a second. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Can
can.
you guys hear me? All right. Well, of course, the tech gremlins got me, and now everything is frozen on my end. So I can't.
Great.
Yeah, the tech gremlins are here, guys. They came over.
Drink.
They didn't want Rory to
Don't
feel
I know
bad.
it?
Well, let me try one thing. Hold on. Here we go. Which would you like to start with first, Rory? We do have a lot of different
video
options.
from Mad Jack?
We did. Would you like me to play that? Let's go. Let's do the Mad Jack.
That.
He's an interesting character. Let's see.
Buddy, it's me, Mad Jack, and I got a little Christmas ditty for you. Hope you like it. It's called The 12 Bad Gifts of Christmas. On the first day of Christmas, my lover gave to me a stupid bird in a fake tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 nutcrackers and a stupid bird in a fake tree. On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 ugly sweaters, 2 nutcrackers, and a stupid bird in a fake tree. On the fourth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 4 useless neckties, 3 ugly sweaters, 2 nutcrackers, and a stupid bird in a fake tree. On the fifth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 5 shower curtain rings, 1 was missing. 4 useless neckties, 3 ugly sweaters, 2 nutcrackers, and a stupid bird in a fake tree. That's all I'm going to sing for you now. I'll put the rest of it on YouTube. Have a great night. Merry Christmas.
I like him a lot. He's one of my favorites, to be honest. I love that
living
guy.
out in the desert, near Vegas, you don't got a lot to do. So
yeah. Well, he finds
it's nice that he's sharing his Christmas cheer, though.
Yeah, he has some good hobbies, and one of them is singing songs like that. And I feel like he's very entertaining. I like him.
Did we ever get an answer from Urena from our video from last week with Grotsky?
We did, and she was not happy. We did predict that she would not be happy, and this is her response right now.
Rory Penland and everyone at Tardan Media Network, answer to Grotsky is of course niet. It will always be niet. Niet to dinner, niet to love, niet to ever even seeing him. This Veliki Jabba, this big toad, as I call him, is not Daddy Putin. He will never be Daddy Putin, and therefore my heart can never belong to him. So please, Rory and everyone at Tardan Media Network, please understand that this will never happen. Answer is нет. Спасибо. До свидания.
Well, that's a shame because he obviously loves her, and he came all the way to America to be with her. And there it is.
We do. So I kind of anticipated it was going to go in that direction, but of course we always have to ask. She seemed a little put out, but we did have to ask.
Okay.
I did, but a more exciting thing is that Dragon Elvis actually.
We got a video from Dragon Elvis this week.
He's now the crowd pleaser. I don't know most people remember him. He's actually the most requested member of the whole Tardanverse. So
we got a guest waiting, so let's make it quick.
All right, let's make it real quick. We're going quick. Here we go.
Oh, man. It's good to be back on the show, man. I just want to come in and be the first to wish you happy holidays to you, the It's Casual crew, and also all your fans out there. How y'all doing?
We're doing good.
Doing good. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks for checking in.
All right, that's good, baby. All right, I love you, man. I do. And I haven't been on in a while, and I thought I'd just pop in and say a little howdy for you, you know, and give you a little Christmas cheer. You know what I'm saying? So, I'll have a blue Christmas without you. Hey, what am I saying, man? You're right here. I'm gonna have you all the time, every Tuesday. That's right. Y'all take care. All right. All right.
All
Red,
right.
Sonny, get them a Cadillac. I love them, man.
Ooh. I love that. I just love
Dragon
him.
Elvis.
Love him. He always delivers. I'm just telling you, he always delivers. Fantastic.
Okay. Well, we have a very special guest on tonight. Very excited about this. This guy is in the top level of impersonators, impressionists, and voice guys in the country. I have a video of him doing a little Christmas thing of his own. If we can get that ready to go.
I'll get that ready in
LA.
a second. Yeah.
He is the son of Marion Ross, who was actually, you know, on Happy Days. And we'll be bringing him up in just a second. Let's see if we can run that video. 'Twas the night before Christmas.
Yeah, bring them up first so that I can load the new videos. So bring them up because
Okay.
I have to get rid of the first ones and bring them back. Okay, but I'll bring him up and y'all can talk for maybe just a minute.
Okay. I was hoping to introduce you with that, but hi, Jim.
Well, you'll just have to introduce me with me.
Well, there you go. So good to have you on the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on.
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate it. We met on Clubhouse a few months back. You were in Impersonation Nation, and I had the honor of actually doing a short little bit with you where you played William Shatner as Kirk, and I got to play Mr. Sulu.
Yeah.
And you got all the laughs, and I got one good laugh when I said, "Hey, I'm just the steering guy," and that was it. But it was so much fun, and it was a rush for me as a young impressionist that, you know, looks up to you. Here we have you. This was actually from a few years back. You've got a new video now for Christmas up this year, and
Yes.
I encourage everybody to go to YouTube and watch it. But this is the night before Christmas.
It was the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. How very innocent.
The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. Kind of a hypoglycemic nightmare.
And Mama, in her kerchief, and I, in my cap, had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter.
Away to the window I flew, like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash.
The moon, on the breast of the new fallen snow, gave the luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. 'Twas the night before.
Very good. Awesome. I picked that clip because I wanted to show your range. I mean, you do some voices that other people just don't do. I mean, you do George Clooney. I don't know many other people that do that. You are one of the most accomplished voice men in Hollywood today. Mortimer Mouse from Disney. You've been called in to do loops for actors and movies. This is when let you explain that to the crowd, what a loop is and how that process works.
Looping is it's a kind of there's a difference between what I generally do and looping. Actually, looping is replacing, it's sort of augmenting an existing scene with some very, very low level human speech. Like if we were shooting a movie in a busy airport, we would have we'd be on a stage probably, or at a busy airport, but one that is full of extras, of atmosphere people who would be going and they would be saying nothing. They would be tacit, in other words. And then later on a sound stage, when you see they would have to replace some dialogue that never got recorded, because they want to hear Leonardo DiCaprio or Tom Hanks or Julia Roberts talking, 1,500 people that are making $90 a day. So then they have a sound stage where people like me and other busy working actors who are good actors look at the screen, and we provide what that person, that extra on that day, might have been saying. Get your bags. We've got to get, the plane's going to take off in 15 minutes. I want to go to Starbucks first. Don't you? Kids, you want to go to Starbucks? Nobody said that on the day. Nobody recorded it on the day. But if you don't have it, even at a very low, almost inaudible level, the scene just feels weird. And so looping is that. Now, what I normally do, as one of my things that I get paid to do, is to create a voice for a film or television that is more audible. So you actually hear the voice, you actually hear the speech being given. Like, often I will be like, several times I've done it where there's an actor on screen who looks like a famous person in history, and they've been hired because they're actors and they're good, and they look a lot like John F. Kennedy, for example.
Okay.
There's a hard person to cast, but they don't necessarily sound like John F. Kennedy, or not quite enough like John F. Kennedy. So then they'll hire someone like me, as George Clooney did with his film Monuments Men, where he had a Harry Truman lookalike who was a Brit and really didn't sound like Harry Truman. So the call went out, the audition went out to find somebody that sounded like Harry Truman, and I won that role. So then I go to a soundstage and create that. So that's one of the hats I wear.
But if someone like, say, Tommy Lee Jones were doing a movie and they were not able to come in to re-record lines after the movie is when the movie is in post, then they would call someone like you, who can do a great Tommy Lee Jones and record lines that, like you said, weren't as audible as they could be.
Right. There could be a replacement of a line due to some noise, or maybe they rewrote the line, or who knows what. But yeah, that happens less often, because usually the big stars, even though they're big stars and their time is valuable, they do understand that there is this thing called, ADR that happens after a shoot. And sometimes, in the case of Bruce Willis or even Tom Hanks, sometimes their brother is called in, and that's kind of a nice job, I imagine, for them to have given a blood relative. It's like, will you do my ADR? And I know Jim Hanks does that or hasn't anyway, done that for Tom Hanks many times in the past, even on camera for Forrest Gump, apparently. So I wind up doing it when they cannot get that person, or they cannot get the brother, and they still need the line. And it often happens too with trailers. Movie trailers are their own entity, and they have their own production companies and their own assembly line. And for that, they often won't pester or pay the original artist, but they'll get someone like me to quickly do a couple of words sometimes, or just a very fragmentary line to put in the trailer. In the case of Colin Firth, for example, Colin Firth, the great British actor, Oscar winner, I've replaced his voice several times in trailers, because it's, I think, deemed to Nicholson to actually ask him to do it again if it's just needs to be a shorter line.
Very good. A lot of impressionists will do a caricature. They'll do a kind of an over the top impression for an audience to get the laugh. But you, on the other hand, you really are masterful at doing mimicking voices and not going over the top, actually treating it very realistically. And for instance, a lot of people will do the over the top Jack Nicholson, with the pulling the hair back and the glasses. But you actually have done several versions of Jack Nicholson's voice throughout his life.
Yeah, well, and I think, Rory, the reason why, I respect people like Frank Caliendo, who is not a caricaturist at all, but is a brilliant mimic. But he comes from the world of comedy. And I think a lot of these guys that you reference that do a more of a caricaturist thing to get a laugh from the audience, I mean, that's the purpose. The purpose is to get a laugh, and they do it. So that's their interest. That's what the field they got into, and that's their expertise. In my case, I'm an actor. I'm not a stand-up comedian. I never was really interested in that. You have to be pretty driven in stand-up comedy to pursue that, and I wasn't. I was interested in a voiceover, and I was interested in acting, and I was interested in improv, and that's what I pursued. So my approach really is based on that, and it's stood me in good stead because I like to do something that's very accurate, and then that turns out to be actually what I didn't expect was it's pretty marketable because of these things like ADR and other things that require a very dead-on, if possible, rendition.
You do live shows. I mean, I've seen a lot of your stuff on YouTube, and you get a lot of laughs from the crowd.
That's true. That's true. But I don't do it in clubs. I do it in a theater. I like people to sit, and I like to also impart. I don't know. I think of it as being more like a one-man show than a comedy set, than a tight 10 minutes or something like that.
Good. And I remember in one show you actually did George Clooney calling you during your performance, going over with you the legalities of you doing him in your set.
That's right. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, I like to mix it up. What I've discovered in doing live performing is that you, and this is probably true of stand-ups too, is that you've got to figure out ways to keep it fresh, not just for the audience, but fresh for yourself, and continue to challenge yourself. And there's different people that, the celebrities change and they rise and fall. It's like the stock market. They're in, they're out, they're up, they're down. Some impressions that we all used to just love to hear, we no longer like to hear. Some that we never heard of before, suddenly that's all that anybody wants to hear. So yeah, I try to be inventive, and that's why I put so much stuff up on my YouTube channel too. I'm putting up, one or two, at least two, generally videos a day of one kind or another. And I'm very experimental that way. And if something appeals to me and I can kind of hear the voice in my head and I'm sort of interested in it, then I try to share it with other people to see what they think.
I wanted to ask you about your family. You do a lot of videos with your daughter, I've seen, and your son does tech on some of your videos. You're really a family man, aren't you?
Well, I don't have a son.
Oh,
I just have a daughter that I know of.
I'm sorry. I
That's
thought
right.
I saw a credit. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Taylor is my daughter, and my wife's name is Tamara. And I wish I had a son, but wasn't in the cards.
Well,
But yeah, I love to work with family, and I've done a lot of videos with my mom too, to try to keep her in touch with the fans, and that's always super fun. My mom, you mentioned before, Marion Ross.
We'd love to have her on the show sometime. Maybe you can put in the good word for us. We'll get all the sound issues worked out. Promise.
Yeah, that'll be important.
Has any celebrity ever contacted you about an impression you did of them?
No.
It's supposed to be the most sincerest form of flattery, but
yeah,
that's actually good news. Nobody's complained.
Well, I'm fairly respectful. I mean, and I'm not interested in. I've noticed early on that if you have the impressions that I like to do are people that I admire, and most impressionists do. They even start off. They'll say something. Even the comedians will say, I love Charles Barkley, or I love. And they feel this tremendous affinity for that person, which makes it easier to step into their shoes, step into their personality. And, people that I don't respect or don't care for, I find it very hard to imitate them because, I don't even want to be in the same universe as they are. So, and I'm sure they feel the same way about me. So yeah, I mean, I'm always pretty respectful and cognizant and try to be empathetic about it. Like I was contacted by Family Guy one time and they needed a Ron Howard impression. And somebody recommended me, and I went, well, let me look at the script. And I made sure that it was not something that was disparaging to Ron or making fun of him.
I actually saw that in the credits. I was going to ask you about that later.
Yeah.
So your IMDb page is just massive. It's 316 titles. You've got 10 upcoming events. Again, I guess, because you're respectable and, people want to work with you. That's great. movies, TV shows, commercials. I just saw a commercial where you were playing George Washington that was hysterical.
For Geico.
Look for it on YouTube. It's really funny.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a really fun one. You know, with comedy commercials, I always kind of cringe a little bit because you know that a commercial is designed to be run over and over and over again. Is going to be, you know, even if it's hilariously funny, people are going to see it like 50 times, and it's also going to get in the way of their programming if they happen to be watching a channel that has commercials. And that particular commercial was of a kind of humor that was pretty evergreen. I enjoyed watching it every time, and I heard from a lot of people that were like, "God, I've seen it 50 times, but it always makes me laugh." I'm like, whew, that's good.
Of the TV shows, the movies, does anything stand out as being particularly fun for you in your history?
Oh, sure. I've had all kinds of fun. Gee, you know, I do enjoy a challenge. I was on America's Got Talent, which was very challenging. I was on Whose Line Is It Anyway, the British version. That was very challenging. I did The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and that was challenging for a different set of reasons. But I like to, as much as possible, work improvisationally. So, and, you know, at the drop of a hat or the spur of a moment or, you know, on a suggestion or something like that. So I had a TV series for a short time, one season, called Impress Me, which was on Amazon. Yeah, with Ross Marquand, my good friend. And it was on Amazon, and now I don't know if you can even see it, but maybe one day you will be able to. And that was fun because it was written so quickly and we put it together so fast. There was literally no time to learn the lines. So we just kind of would look at it and kind of shoot it. It was super fun. But
that's funny you say that because you and Marquand actually created micro impressions, I think, right? The 5-second, 10-second impressions.
Nano impressions. No, it's got nano impressions for Vanity Fair. Actually, Vanity Fair, I believe, came up with that concept and got Ross to do it and then invited me to do it. I wish I'd thought of it. It's awfully clever.
So I was hoping you'd say, since you mentioned Ron Howard earlier, I was hoping you'd say Grinch. You were a police officer in the Grinch.
I was Officer Houlihan in the Grinch, and it was a great job. And I had a terrific time at down there at Universal. And for 4 months, I worked on that movie. So all of us did. All of us in Houlihan.
Right. So Baranski and Carey and Bill Irwin and I mean, what a great group to have fun with.
Yeah. It was a great experience. A great experience. It was also challenging. I had to wake up at 5 in the morning.
Friends? You played Bill?
The role of Bill. Yes.
You look like a Bill.
Friends was a lot of fun. That was an easy breezy, unbelievably pleasant kind of thing. They were riding high on this wave of their enormous run. It was in the last season, I think the third to last episode that they shot, and it was like dealing with people that were completely blissed out, and everything went very smoothly, which is different from a lot of shows that you get injected into as a day player or as a guest star, where it's kind of like some of these shows are like, they're tense, they're on the bubble, they don't know if they're going to get picked up or if they're going to get canceled or who's running what. And I did a show with what's her name? Grace Under Fire, Rhett Butler.
Oh, yeah.
And poor Rhett Butler was having a really tough time. And this was toward the end of her show. And I remember a bunch of us were guest stars, and we all kind of looked alike. It was kind of a gag, is that, she would go to a job interview and there'd be every job she went to was a person that kind of looked like me. And so we were sitting around, and they were supposed to shoot in front of a live audience. And there was some kind of debacle going on politically on the show with the writers and the showrunner and Brett Butler, not Rhett Butler. And man, we were there for hours and hours and hours. And we were like, are we going to shoot tonight? There was an audience out there waiting and waiting and waiting. And that was like, oh boy, this was not an easy show. And it was super tough.
Some other credits that intrigued me. Johnny Bravo. You played the whiny man.
I'm sure I did. A lot of these, Rory, I got to tell you, if it gets to be 15, 20 years old on my IMDb, I'm like, it was one afternoon back in 1992. I don't
know. Battlefield Earth, too soon?
Well, you know, Battlefield Earth is a great science fiction novel and not a bad movie. It's been poked fun at a lot, and critics like to savage it. But I happen to direct the audiobook version, the entire unedited, unabridged version of Battlefield Earth. And it is a fantastic audio award-winning audiobook, by the way. And I recommend it to anybody from Galaxy Audio. And we had major, fantastic voice actors in it, including many that you would recognize. Scott Menville played the lead. Fred Tatasciore is in it. Corey Burton, the best of the best. And as I say, we won an audio award, and it's great. It's a great story.
And I'm sure it was a lot of fun working with Travolta. Everybody says he's a fun guy to work with.
Oh, he's a lovely guy. And I worked with Barry Pepper too. And yeah, fantastic. It was really a lot of fun. And, you know, as I say, sometimes movies get attacked for reasons other than their quality. I think in that case, it's been treated very unfairly. It's not a bad film. It's not maybe the film that we all would wish for such a great story, but, you know, for the money and for the time, it's pretty good.
You actually get to play a lot of political figures in what you do.
I do. It's weird.
We have an actual clip here of you reading the Constitution, and I snipped out the part where you're doing the presidents.
It's actually the Declaration of Independence.
A Declaration of Independence. Sorry.
By declaring us, he has abdicated government here by declaring us, well, out of his protection and waging war against us.
He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people.
He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas, to bear arms against their country, to become the executioner of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has abdicated.
Very good. And of course, we heard Kennedy earlier in the other clip that we played.
Yeah, I've done Kennedy, Nixon. I've done a few Kennedys. Robert Kennedy for things. Teddy Kennedy, John Kennedy, Nixon.
That's good shout out.
Actually, the first job I ever had, one of the first jobs I ever had in Hollywood was doing FDR's voice for a film. And I was, again, replacing an actor's voice who looked like FDR or enough like FDR, and but didn't sound like FDR. And so I was very pleased and excited that I'd got the role, because I was probably like 35 or something. And I was like, man, this is, you know, playing an older guy. It's all exciting. And I got the role. And yeah.
Awesome. Here it says you did Morgan Freeman in Shawshank in a Minute.
I've done Morgan Freeman many times. That was a jib jab project, Shawshank in a Minute. And that was one of the early ones. I did it first for the David Letterman show for a little gag that they were doing with Alan Coulter. And then I did it innumerable times for the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, where they did a lot of stuff and they needed a Morgan Freeman kind of read for silly ads or silly faux Olympics reports and things. And so I was going in there quite often to do Morgan Freeman. It was fun. There's a few of us that do Morgan Freeman's voice for various programs, but I think I was definitely in the first wave.
And in the DC and Marvel universe, you've played various characters. You've done Jim Gordon, Commissioner Gordon. You've done Mr. Freeze, Lex Luthor, in various video games. You do a lot of work in video games.
Fair amount. I don't work as often as some guys. I don't do it every week, but yeah, I've worked on over the years a lot of video games. I've even done mocap stuff on a stage where, you're actually performing and working and acting and moving your body and your joints, which are all they're only interested in your joints in mocap. It can make you look any way they want you to. But yeah, and I'm not a gamer, so sometimes I think I would have a better career as a voice for video games if I actually gamed, but I really never have. And it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna happen this lifetime.
A TV show called Community. You were listed as the Christopher Walken impersonator and the Tommy Lee Jones impersonator. That was your credit for that.
Right. Yes, and I was on camera for the Tommy Lee Jones one, and the Christopher Walken one. I think I recorded separately. But yeah, I was at Paramount. I remember that very well, and I shot a little video when I was on the lot at Paramount of me doing Tommy Lee Jones doing "To Be or Not to Be." That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles. I did that whole speech, and it was fun. There's a lot of waiting around for that one. There was a lot of sometimes, the thing that probably a lot of your viewers may or may not credit is that the toughest thing about an acting career is keeping your energy up because there's so much waiting.
Yeah.
It's just, and for most people that visit a set for the first time, they marvel at, wow, there's a lot of people, and wow, this takes a long time. It does.
Yeah, they say never to admit that you were an extra in a movie, but I was an extra in several movies, and yeah, that was the big thing. Like you said, there's a lot of waiting around until they set things up.
Hours and hours and hours. Yeah, and then if you've got a big part or something, you're like, wow, I got this big scene coming up, and like, when is it going to come up? In 10 minutes? In a half an hour? In 4 hours? After dinner? Before dinner? At the end of the day? I just did a guest starring role on a show called Hunters, and I had this pretty big speech, and we shot it from all different angles, but my close-up didn't come to the very end, and by that time it's like, wow, it's 8 o'clock at night. I wish we'd done this around 3, but it's not up to me the way the schedule goes. So you just have to get quite disciplined and budget your energy a little bit and make sure that you're like, don't drink a lot of coffee early in the day, and make sure you keep eating. And it's a whole science in itself, I think.
And I was going to ask you more, what do you do to kind of perk up when they finally say, okay, the cameras are getting ready to roll? I mean, is there any kind of jumping or anything that you do that you can kind of juice yourself back up? Yeah,
it's good to physically move. It's good to have like an apple or something, and drink some water, maybe some tea, but yeah, you have to just kind of deal with the situation as it comes. It's a challenge. Now the big stars, they kind of can dictate a little bit. Hello? They can kind of dictate when they're going to work a little bit more and go, you know what, I'd like to do this before lunch, or, let's do this now. Let's do this right now. But a day later, we're like, okay, when do you want me? And that's what I'll do. You say jump, and I'll ask how high.
So Senior Entourage, you just did this one not long ago, where you had to play Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, I can't really speak too much about this project because I haven't seen it, and it was a little disorganized from my point of view. So I did the best I could, but it was not one that I really have much to say about.
But you got to work with Ed Asner.
Well, we were in the same project together. I've met Ed many times. He was a very good friend of my mom's, so I have a lot of respect for Ed Asner and for the way, the life he lived. He was a very industrious actor. Even in his later days, when he was very ill, it seemed, he was still doing a massive one-person show. He did a show about Franklin Roosevelt, which is mind-blowing. And it was like a 2-hour show with a lot of material. He just never slowed down. He truly worked right up until he absolutely couldn't, which is one of the great things about being an actor, is like or an artist in general. And one of the things that I find very encouraging is that you don't have to retire out of it. I mean, people may get bored of seeing you old and wrinkly or whatever, but as the last time I looked, there was still a need for older actors and in different projects. So my mom retired, but that's because she could, and she really had sort of lost interest in performing. Modern TV shows are so different from someone who really got started in the 50s in the golden age of television with live television, as she did with Noel Coward and others. And so, I think
working with Jerry Paris in the 70s.
Exactly, 70s and 80s on Happy Days. And she really experienced the best of the best and doesn't need to work anymore. So it was like, oh, okay, well, then you should definitely enjoy your life. And that's what she's doing.
That's great. That's wonderful. We have a video of you doing a little deep fake.
Oh,
I want to talk about this.
Thank you for watching. Yeah, thanks for presenting this. I love this one. I thought it was, I think it came off pretty good. Let it rip.
Allow Picard to state the obvious. We Brits have conquered every audience, whether film, the stage, or on TV. We English do it splendidly. You hardly ever find a dud. We simply have it in our blood, whilst actors from the USA, across the pond, how shall I say, as thespians, our Yankee chums, compared with us, are third-rate bums. Afraid so.
I mean, now hold on, Pat. You may be a sir, but where I come from, that's a slur. You throw around a lot of fancy words. You limey actors got a lot of nerve. I heard you out. And now, methinks, it's time I say you British actors stink. That's right.
So, what we have here is a technology now. We live in a time where there's a technology now where they can actually put a famous person's face on you. And again, if you've got the voice, wow.
Yeah. That's a terrific SFX guy named Shamuk. Sam is his name, and he lives in England. And he now is too busy for me because of this video and several others that he made. He's now working, I think, for ILM. So
that's fantastic.
But it was fun. He contacted me originally and said that he was looking for an impressionist to work with to try to pull off some of these interesting effects. And I was like, wow, that's shocking. And so I get asked about it quite a lot. And I think the way to think about it is it's a tool. And of course, any tool can be abused. You can take a hammer and you can build a house, or you can knock someone's head in. Deep fake can be used to create art, like I try to do and others try to do, or it can be used to create chaos, which is, of course, lamentable and something we don't want to promote. But fascinating tool, amazing. I don't understand how it works, and I'm shocked by it. It's crazy.
And again, it makes us wonder. I mean, is Bob Zemeckis or somebody going to make movies with like John Wayne or people that have been gone for decades, but we'd love to see them again, and they'll be calling you and saying, hey, we want you to do, this character. And
yeah. And I would do it.
You're John Wayne,
I'd be happy to do it. I'd jump right into it, especially with Bob Z. He knows what he's doing.
We mentioned Walken earlier. There's another one you can easily go over the top with Walken, but you do a very masterful Christopher Walken. It's not overstated.
Well, thanks. I mean, I've heard him a lot. So for me, there's a lot of richness in just the way he talks, simply, without going crazy,
And I wonder about Christopher Walken. I think there's so many imitators of Christopher Walken. I wonder if I see him sometimes on interviews, and you almost imagine him going, now, don't sound like one of these freaking imitators. Just say it. Hit it again. All right. Must be kind of introverting to have people imitate you so much.
Well, yeah. And Jay Marr used to teach doing Walken. He said, you just got to add an extra syllable to every word. That's one of the things he used to teach. So a word would have an extra something, But yeah, yeah, you got to be careful not to just go too overboard with something like that. And you don't. You're very masterful at what you do. What was I going to say next? Now I had something else I was going to ask you about that wasn't on my list of things to ask you about.
Well, let's plug my YouTube channel then.
There you go.
Everybody should go to my YouTube channel. I do a daily video called the Celebrity Fortune Cookie, where I read a fortune in a celebrity voice. I've got a wheel with impressions on it, and I pick a celebrity at random, and then read the fortune in that voice. And well, it's a lot of fun. I do it every day. I've done it every day for, I don't know, 2-3 years, I think now. We're heading into our 4th year.
Awesome. You get a lot of work also because you do a lot of dialects as well.
I do. Yeah.
British and Scottish and Irish and Russian and what have you. Can you? What are some of the ones you've done recently that you can recall?
Well, I've done Scots quite a lot. Yeah, Scottish people quite a lot. There's I've done it for Marvel and others, and I don't do it as much as I'd like to. But I think there's something about the British Isles that's just so intriguing to actors, and just the wonderful the variety of accents that are just like delicious. I mean, I've always been intrigued by it. I continue to try to master it. It's super difficult in some ways to get it perfect, and maybe perfection is not even possible for someone who hasn't grown up there in some of these places. But I just got hired recently to I'll be on camera doing an Irish fellow, so that's nice. And at least that's in my genetics. And my mother played an Irish maid on early live television, so it's sort of in my makeup. But I'm always really happy when I feel like, I won something. I got to do Charles Dance for talking about ADR for that last Godzilla film. I got to do Charles Dance, and I felt very, very chuffed indeed, because there's quite a lot of Brits in Los Angeles that could have done it, but they chose me. So I figured, not bad.
Great. And again, there's a lot of different dialects, like you said, in the UK.
Yep.
I mean, you do Michael Caine, you do Ian McKellen, you do Anthony Hopkins. I mean, you've mastered most of the dialects.
Well, I don't know if it's most, but there's an awful lot of them there. But the main ones, and I work at it all the time because it's interesting to me, and I realize, and when you get to a certain level, then you start to hear other things. We watch a lot of British television, and I think British TV and British people working in American TV is at an all-time high in terms of quality and influence. And so we wind up watching these wonderful British actors like Downton Abbey and other shows. There's just tons of them, and they're so enjoyable. They're just terrific. I think American actors, we're falling behind a little bit. I think we need to up our game, if I may say. I know I need to up mine.
As Sir Patrick Stewart said in the video. Is there anything else coming up for you that we should look for?
Well, I'm going to be in a series that's coming out next season called Gaslit. I've got to plug my computer in, or I'm going to lose you. Hang on just a moment before I completely go off the air. This is pretty important. Christ. Hang on. Almost there. See, anybody can have technical problems, even the guests.
We've had a lot of tech gremlins this evening.
Oh, even the guests can have tech problems and omissions. A show called Gaslit with Sean Penn and Julia Roberts about Watergate. I'm in a couple episodes of that.
Oh, cool.
And there's a show called American Auto, which just premiered or is about to premiere, from the makers of Superstore. And I have a recurring role in that. And then
are you an auto enthusiast?
Sort of. I can't give too many clues about that, but yeah. And then I got another project that I'm going to start shooting in January, in the spring, and that will launch later. And I don't know if I can talk about that one, but
okay.
I'm trying to do more on-camera work. Actually, I do so much stuff in my booth as a voiceover guy. I feel like, man, I really would like to be in the open air with other actors and doing some on-camera stuff. So that's what I got into this business to do. I just happen to also enjoy voiceover a lot. And I'm Colonel Sanders still for the KFC brand. So on your radio or on your television, every now and then you'll hear this voice, and that's me doing Harlan Sanders. I've been doing that about 5 years. So
awesome. I was hoping you'd mention that. I had it down here on my list, and I passed over it. I was hoping you'd mention that. Okay, thank you so much for coming on. It's been wonderful having you on the show. And I'm so happy for you that you're living the life you want. That you're doing what you love to do, and you're doing it, a lot of it. So hopefully we'll have you on again soon. And you take care. Okay.
Thanks, Rory. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
And sorry about the tech issues at the beginning.
Oh, no problem. No worries.